we are going to discuss the SD-WAN deployment and its benefits. Right, so we will be covering the Cisco blueprint. I will be showing you that blueprint in the upcoming time, you can say, right? So first of all, let's start with the demo, right? And here is the first question I have for all of you. That is, what is SD-WAN and why do we need it? Right. So guys, SD-WAN stands for software defined WAN. And why do we need it? That will be the question for this particular demo session, and I will be explaining you multiple reasons why we require SD-WAN. Right. So guys, I think all of you have observed one thing in the past. What is that? Cisco is transforming. Transforming means Cisco is changing the way we used to work with the devices, right? So there are multiple technologies out there in market, like we have Cisco ACI, application centric infrastructure. Second, we have SD-WAN, software defined WAN. Third, we have SDA, software defined access. So from these different technologies, you can gather one common information, that is Cisco is trying to implement software defined or software definitions everywhere. So guys, this particular technologies is used in data centers. This particular technologies is used for the WAN, to manage the WAN. I will give you the difference. What is WAN and what is data center, what is SDA, right? So this particular technology is used to manage the enterprise networks. It can be a small office or a large office, or you can say a big office. So what Cisco is doing, Cisco is trying to deploy the software defined approach across its all solutions, whether it is data center or it is WAN or it is your enterprise networks. Might be some of you have heard about DNA, digital network architect, right? Something like this, right? So you have heard about these terms. So what I'm trying to tell you here is software defined or software definition is the approach that Cisco is trying to push everywhere in data centers, across your WAN, and in your enterprise networks. Enterprise network means the network which belongs to a small office or a big office or a production unit. It can be anything, right? So guys, my first point is what is required from you people to learn this SD-WAN. So guys, the first thing that you should be clear with is basic routing. At least you should have CCNA level of routing understanding, right? I know in one or two lectures, upcoming lectures, I will be using some routing concept where you should have CCNP knowledge, but I will be able to make you understand, right? If you have basics clear, right? Second thing that is required is, apart from basic routing, is virtual routing and forwarding. So there is a topic, we call it VRF, right? You should be clear with what is the meaning of VRF, right? So if you know what is VRF, you will be able to understand this SD-WAN solution in a deep detail. right? Now, second thing is, let's say you people don't know what is a VRF. So when I will start with the VRF in the SD-WAN course, I will try to give you an overview of the same. That this is VRF, this is how we are using it. But if you already know what is VRF, in that case you will be able to concentrate on what we are going to cover in SD-WAN instead of getting confused with the topic what is VRF, right? Third is, what is the meaning of overlay and underlay routing? Again, these are not new terms. These are the older terms that we were using in networking. So we have two terms: overlay networks, underlay networks, or overlay routing or underlay routing, right? Let me give you an example to make you understand. Let's say you have two routers. I think in your networking career, you people have always seen a GRE tunnel. So let's say you have two sites connected across a ISP and you want to make communication possible between these two sites. So what we people used to do, guys, this is my physical network. This is my physical network. What we people used to do, we people used to build a tunnel between these two routers. So this tunnel is the overlay network. Which network? Overlay. And which network is this? This is my underlay. Overlay basically means the logical network. And underlay means my physical network. Right? So in case of SD-WAN, we will be using something called VPN. VPN is very similar to VRFs, and how VPNs are providing us what we want is with the help of these overlay and underlay networks. Apart from this, you should have basic knowledge about OSPF and BGP. I'm not saying that you should be an expert in OSPF and BGP, but somewhere you should know how to configure OSPF and how to configure BGP. That is what is required from my side if you want to learn this course. After this, I also want you to have a basic understanding of IPsec site-to-site VPN. Now, why I'm saying this, guys, to be honest, in SD-WAN solution, all the communication is by default secured. Secured means if you and me are communicating and we are the two devices or components of SD-WAN fabric, we are always communicating with the help of a secure tunnel, and that secure tunnel is built by which protocol? IPsec. Right? So you should have understanding about IPsec site-to-site VPN. Now next thing, if you don't have understanding about IPsec site-to-site VPN, so guys, I can just give you an overview. I cannot discuss this topic at a packet level. I can give you an overview what is IPsec site-to-site VPN and how we are using this particular VPN in SD-WAN. Apart from this, you should also have basic understanding about SSL, or if I have to be exact, DTLS. So DTLS is nothing but UDP encapsulated SSL, and SSL is nothing but TCP encapsulated SSL. Now again the same question, if you don't know about it, I can give you an overview. I can try to make you understand what do you mean by DTLS, what is SSL, but again we are not going to discuss these topics on packet level, right? Because our motive here is to cover the main topic. The main topic that we have further discussion, that is SD-WAN. And at last, I require you people to have an understanding about PKI. What is PKI? Public Key Infrastructure. Now, you don't have to panic if you have not heard about this term in the past, or if you have not come across about this term in the past. I will be discussing this term in full detail, because I know If someone does not know PKI and he is learning SD-WAN, guys, trust me, in real-time deployment, you will not be able to do troubleshooting in a proper way, right? Because all your SD-WAN component onboardings is done with the help of PKI, right? So what are the different SD-WAN components? I am just giving you an overview. We have something called vManage, we have vSmart, we have vBond, and we have vEdges, right? So all these components that are present in this SD-WAN fabric, these are different components, right? They will be authenticating each other with the help of what? With the help of PKI, public key infrastructures. Might be some of you can relate this term with the term certificates, right? So I will be discussing this particular topic in full detail, right? But IPsec site-to-site VPN, the packet exchange, no, I will not discuss it in full detail. Yes, this particular PKI topic I will discuss, but I will just give you an overview about OSPF, BGP, site-to-site VPN, SSL, right? I think you can read about these topics, right? Just to be on track. Fine. So these are the things that are required from your side if you want to learn SD-WAN, right? So I'm not asking you to be an expert in all these topics, right? I just want you to have a basic understanding, right? So guys, if you have any questions right now, you can ask. Otherwise, we will move on. I will wait for your questions. Yes. Anyone have any questions? You can ask, no issues. Okay, let me start the next section. Now, next part is again very simple. What is WAN, guys? WAN stands for Wide Area Networks, right? So what do you mean by wide area networks? Wide area network means connecting two networks which are physically separated, or if I have to use the common term, which are physically separated, or you can say which are at a distance from each other. Now guys, my concern is what are the different types of WAN connections that we have, right? So guys, if you have any questions related to labs, you can ask them in the end. But for Afzal, yes, you can build your own topology, right? So I will come to that point, no problem, right? So connecting two networks which are physically separated or which are at a distance from each other, this particular thing is called WAN. Now guys, I don't know how much experience you people have in companies networks, but I am just giving you an overview, right? So how a company networks looks like, every company has a data center, right? So data center is the place where all the applications that organization is using are stored, and where they are stored on the servers, right? So data center is, you can say, a storage for organization, right? And we have different type of remote sites. So some remote sites are called headquarter, right? So let's say this is your headquarter site. I'm calling it HQ. Now instead of HQ, you can have a BQ also, branch site, right? Now what is the difference between HQ and BQ, guys? The difference is HQ is a critical site and BQ is not that much critical as we have the headquarter, right? So it depends on the type of business we are running there. We are running for our organization. On the basis of that, we will name it a HQ or a BQ site. HQ means branch site, HQ means headquarter site, and BQ means the branch sites. Or you can think of all these as my remote sites. That is the easy thing, right? So I am just telling you two different options which are present in a traditional WAN that we can use to connect my data centers with my HQs or branch sites, right? First option is MPLS, right? So MPLS is a service which you can use. So how you will use it? Right. So how we can use it? We can use it to connect different offices. Right. You can connect your headquarter site to your data center by using what service? MPLS. So MPLS is nothing. I'm giving you a simple example. Let's say this is your edge device and this is your edge device on the HQ side. So what you will be doing is you will be forming a BGP neighborship with the service provider. You will be giving your routes to the service provider. Now service provider will pass on these routes to the other site. In the same way, from the other site you will be running BGP with the service provider. You will give your routes and those routes will be received here. And with the help of this MPLS backbone, these two offices will communicate, right? Second type of WAN that we have here is, we call it internet. INT, right? So let's say your data center has an internet connection also. Now, what do you mean by MPLS and internet if people are not clear? So guys, this is a private VPN service, right? And this is a public internet service, right? So why I am calling it private VPN service? Because it is providing me communication between two private networks over a public network. Public network is this MPLS, right? And why this is public internet service? Because I am able to connect my data center and my branch sites with the help of what? With the help of internet. Internet means the users which are present on the branch site can access any servers which are located on the public internet, right? Now in this case, if you have to make this communication possible, what you have to do is you have to build a tunnel. You have to build a tunnel. What kind of tunnel? So I can name it a IPsec tunnel. So what you can do is you can build a IPsec tunnel between these two sites, right? And with the help of this IPsec tunnel, you can make the communication possible between the branch site and the data center, right? So guys, till now the story is clear. What is WAN? WAN means the wide area networks. Wide area network means connecting two offices which are separated by some distance, right? So what are the two ways? Either I can use MPLS or I can use internet. Now modern organizations are using the same approach, right? So what they are doing, they are connecting their headquarter site with the data center with the help of MPLS, and they are connecting their branch sites with the data center with the help of IPsec VPNs. Some people are also running you can say one solution in Cisco that we call it DMVPN. That is just you can say just the expanded approach for these IPsec VPNs, right? Nothing more than that, right? So IPsec VPNs are basically point to point, and in case of DMVPN we get a multi-point kind of solution, right? So we are not going to discuss that particular thing, but here the part which is important is we can connect my data centers and remote sites with the help of MPLS and internet. If I'm using MPLS, I don't have to do anything. I just have to run a routing protocol with the service provider. He will be exchanging the routes, and if we are running internet, we have to build a VPN, right? But what is the second main thing that you have to understand? Now guys, it's not possible for an organization not possible for a organization to buy firewalls for each site. And if you are a security consultant, you would agree with me that till now we people are working on a centralized security approach. What I'm calling it, centralized security approach. What is that? Right. That is, let's say this is your data center, guys, right? And these are your remote sites. I just tell you that these remote sites will be connecting with my data center by two features, either by MPLS or by internet, right? Either by MPLS or by internet, they will be reaching my data center. So either by MPLS or internet, they will be reaching my data center, right? Now, what if these sites want to reach to internet? How remote sites will reach internet? So guys, if you have understanding how traffic is flowing in your organization, so you have noticed one thing, that all the remote sites will be sending traffic to data center, and in data center we will place something called the firewalls or the IPS, different type of security devices, firewalls, IPS, right? Or some people call it sensor. These sort of devices in my data center, and from my data center we will be exiting all the traffic. Let's say there is a user on this remote site, he want to reach internet, right? First of all, he will go to data center. From data center, he will go to the internet, right? So all the internet traffic getting backhauled to my data center. Right. So guys, can anyone tell me what is the problem in backhauling all the traffic to my DC? Guys, all of you are network engineers, you are working in real-time deployments. Please participate. Okay, Afzal is saying bandwidth utilization. Apart from bandwidth utilization, Afzal, anything? Guys, first thing is latency. Let's say, think from a bigger picture. Let's say I am sitting in Latam. You know what is Latam? Latam means South America, right? I want to visit a website which is hosted in Latam, a public website. Let's say a government website, right? But what is going to happen whenever I'm trying to access that website? That website is on internet. So I will be sending traffic to my data center. Let's say my data center is in US region or is in North America. So from Latam, my traffic will go to North America. From North America, it will come back to Latam. So what it will increase? It will increase latency in my traffic, right? Right. So this is again a thing that branch office to branch office communication will happen with the help of the head office. So again, Afzal, this thing depends on your deployment, right? So if you have direct spoke to spoke communication, you will not face that particular problem. But here the problem is latency. Second problem is single point of failure. Now you will say, how single point of failure? Guys, yes, if this data center fails. Now you will say, no, we will have two circuits, two links, we have redundant design. I'm not talking about this thing. Let's say electricity in this data center fails, or there is some natural calamity in this particular region where your data center is located, right? So this is called single point of failure. So what we are doing, we are dependent on a single data center. So either a company should build a dual data center. That is again costly, right? So the problems we have with the traditional design that we have in place is, first is sorry, First is we are backhauling all the traffic to my DC. Second, we are increasing latency to the traffic. Third, there is a single point of failure. What is the fourth problem? Fourth problem is also there. All the devices, all the WAN devices are managed separately. So guys, if you people are working in real-time scenarios, you have seen it that yes, you are managing your WAN routers, let's say your MPLS routers or your internet routers manually and one by one. And guys, if you have more than 1000 sites, this will become a headache, right? So this is again a problem, right? What I call this problem decentralized network management, right? So I'm writing here few points. All traffic to DC, adding latency, right? Single point of failure, and there is no centralized management. All the devices in my solutions are managed individually, not centrally, right? Now next, what is the problem? So guys, next problem is very critical and it is very important for you to understand. Yes, Praveen. Yes, Praveen. So in this particular case, Viptela will have the security features. Okay, so in case of DMVPN, so think of it, they are connected via MPLS and you have some sort of firewalling in between, right? So if you want firewalling in between, you have to send that traffic to your data center. Okay, so MPLS is just a transport man. Sorry. MPLS is just a transport, right? Now, when you will listen to the next point, you will be more clear with what I am trying to say. Listen to me carefully. What are the inefficiencies of traditional WAN? Right, I try to give you an overview and I explained these 4 points to you. What is the reason? Or what are the problems in traditional WAN? First one is all the traffic is backhauling to DC. We are adding latency to the traffic. Single point of failure is there. And decentralized network management, right? So guys, when I'm saying I'm adding latency to the traffic, I'm not talking about spoke to spoke communication. I'm talking about the traffic which is going to internet, right? So Afzal, I hope I am able to answer your question. Next thing, guys, the world is changing, right? That's why we need some new solution, and we are going to discuss SD-WAN, right? So what is changing? I think all of you have heard about this term, cloud. What do you mean by cloud? Cloud, okay, let me give you an example. Okay, so how we can understand it? We can understand it like this. 10 years down the line, right, guys, what we were doing, we were using Excel, PowerPoint, everything which was not centralized. It means, let's say I am creating a file here on my machine. Which file? Let's say an Excel file, right? So I will create this file. This file will remain on my local machine. But nowadays we are not doing the same thing. We are using Excel, which Microsoft is offering us and which is present on the cloud. So what is the benefit? We don't have to dependent on the machine. We go anywhere we can access that data. Let's say today I'm at my home and I'm creating this file. So let's say I'm creating this file as SD-WAN batch, right? And in this file, I want to write the name of the people who are attending this batch, right? And I fill this information, I save this file, I'm good. But this file will be saved on my machine, right? So there is one more way to access this file. What is that? Let me show you. What I can do is I can log in into my Gmail. I can go to Google Drive and I can open their Excel file. Right. So that Excel file will be available to me always. Right. So how we are making all these things possible? So guys, we are trying to migrate all the applications that we have on a single machine to a centralized location that we call cloud. Right. So I am giving you example of some more cloud items also, right? Like we have MS Word that is on cloud nowadays, MS Excel, shared drives. So what do you mean by keeping everything on cloud? Access from anywhere, right? So guys, nowadays sorry, organizations are migrating to cloud. So how it is going to impact the network? Yes, it will impact. So I'm showing you a picture. Give me a minute. So guys, this is the traditional network. All the remote sites are there. Let's say they want to reach the applications. Your Word, your Excel, your PowerPoint, your Google Plus, your SAP applications, anything from where they are sending the traffic, data center. So here you can see what we are doing. We are adding latency to the traffic. Second, what we are doing? We are backhauling all the traffic to data center. So now you want to know what type of solution we want. We want a solution. We want a solution where we can decide if we want these remote sites to send traffic directly to the internet, they can. So it will save us from two problems. First one is latency. Second one is there is no need to backhaul all the traffic to the data center, right? So let me show you this particular thing also. Right, so here you can see in this case we have remote sites. They are going to the internet directly without going to the data center. But we can have these sort of policies that, let's say, if they want to reach some of the cloud applications, they should go via data center. And if they want to reach some other application, they will go via other data center, right? But yes, we have a feature available here. We call it direct internet access, right? So what we call it, direct internet access. So we can give direct internet access to the users who are sitting here in the data center. Sorry, at my remote sites. There is no need for the users to go to the data center. So it will provide two benefits. First one is no traffic backhaul to DC. And second thing, no latency, right? So guys, nowadays we are going to migrate all the applications on cloud. Today or tomorrow it is going to happen, right? So we should find a better routing way, better sending traffic to the applications directly without backhauling them to the data center, right? So what are the reasons for doing these things? Guys, first reason is cost, right? So try to understand. First of all, we are sending, in the case number one, we were sending the traffic to the data center. Let's say you have 10 remote sites, right? And on every site you have 5 MB bandwidth. So in total you need 50 MB bandwidth. At your data center, you are paying here at the remote site also and the data center also, right? So here you have to pay extra, but here if let's say this particular site is using the local internet, right? So in this case it will use its 5 MB bandwidth for the internet as well as to reach the data center, and you don't have to purchase any extra bandwidth for this site on the data center level, right? So first particular point is cost. Second particular point is latency that I already told you, right? So we are going to improve the latency. Third point is availability. Availability means, let's say if one of your data center goes down, everything will not go down. Still the remote site users will have connectivity to the internet, right? And the last point is velocity. And this is the best point, or you can say the best feature that SD-WAN will provide me. What is that? I am giving you an example. Let's say guys, this is your remote site, right? And this remote site is connected to your data center, and this data center is again connected to internet, right? Right. So listen to me carefully. This is your remote site. This is your internet. This is your data center. This is again your internet. Now what you have done is you have configured this site to connect directly to the internet. Okay, let me tell you like this. Let's say this is your Google server. So what you have done is you have configured this site to connect directly to the Google server. But what do you want? You want if this path has more latency, right? If this path has more latency, this particular device will switch the path and will try to reach the Google server from your DC. It is also possible, right? So we can do these sort of you can say manipulations or policies in my SD-WAN cloud, right? So guys, these are the different you can say disadvantages of using the traditional WAN, and all these problems will be resolved in my SD-WAN solution. And the main problem that we are going to resolve here is we are going to manage all devices from a single console or single GUI, right? So we are not doing anything called the decentralized network management. We will be doing the centralized network management, right? So the first benefit that SD-WAN will going to provide me, I'm again repeating them. First one is the single management plane, right? And let me show you also. Give me a minute. So in case of SD-WAN, there will be a single management plane, right? So everything we are going to access from a single device, from a single GUI. So guys, this is the dashboard of your vManage, right? So let me show you few things real quick, right? So if I come to the configuration option, okay, let's go to the monitor option and network. So these are all the devices which are present in my fabric now, right? So why we are calling it fabric, I will be explaining it in the future, right? So let me try to open one of the VH for you. So let's open VH3. So can you see from a single GUI, I can manage all the devices. Let's say you want to reboot the device. You can do it from here. You want to check what is the status of the temperature, modules, or how many times the device has crashed, what is the status of power supply, fans, what is the CPU utilization, what is the memory utilization, everything you can see here on GUI. But if you talk about a traditional router, everything you can see on CLI, and you have to log in into each and every device. Right, guys? Let me tell you some more things. It's not all, right? Let's come to interfaces. So here you can see the status of the interfaces, how many interfaces are up, how many packets are getting transferred on per second basis, right? After that, you can also mark flows if you have configured net flow. You can also see the top talkers. Okay, I am giving you one more example, guys, and you will be able to connect to this particular thing. Let's say today I give you a task. Let's say you work as a L2 network engineer in any of the organization. I give you a task that for a MPLS link I want top talker report. So what you have done? Your customer or your organization has built another monitoring tool. It can be SolarWinds, it can be PRTG. You will log in into that tool. That tool will provide you the top talker information. But in case of SD-WAN Fabric, we don't require any such tools, right? What we require is we just require access to vManage. From there, I can pull out the top talker report for all the top talkers for a particular device. There is no need of extra, you can say extra tool for that particular solution, right? After that, we have something called T-logs. So this is a SD-WAN term. So we have an option called firewall. So we can also enable firewall features on the SD-WAN device. Intrusion prevention system, URL filtering, right? All of these things we can do, right? And click on troubleshooting. Can you see this particular thing? Traffic, connectivity, ping, trace. If you want to ping from the device, if you want to trace from the device, if you want to check if you are passing something, how it is moving, right? So simulate flows means you can check whatever you are passing through the device, how device is forwarding that particular traffic. So everything is there, right? And not for only this device, for all the devices. Let me show you. If you want to see for VH1, you can see, right? So just move up, click on applications, just scroll up, man. Right, so here we are checking for which device, VH1. Okay, let me just go back. Sometime this thing got stuck for me also. VH1. So you can see here the status for VH1, right? Apart from this, it's not like we only have the GUI access, we have the CLI access also, right? We are not bound, right? So guys, this is the basic, you can say basic things that we are going to discuss today. Now, and that is all that I need to cover from my side for this demo, right? So if you have any questions, any doubts, you people can ask. And let me see the questions here we have. Yes, we can build our own topology, right? I will tell you how to build your topology when you will get the access, right? Okay, SD-WAN topology on your computer should have 32 GB of RAMs. Then we can set it up, and it will require an extra session. We will not discuss it in class. Where and when we can use SD-WAN? So if your organization thinks that it is facing the issues like latency, managing all your WAN devices, right? Apart from that, backhauling all the traffic to a data center, then your organization can migrate to SD-WAN, and it will give you certain benefits that I have explained. Yes, bandwidth utilization is also going to be a point when we are talking about the internet-based traffic. You just require to have a VMware workstation. On VMware workstation, we will install Eve, and on eve we will make the lab, right? So guys, any one of you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yes, that's all. That's all. And apart from that, I am going to tell you one more thing. So for every class, I will be providing you recording. Second thing, the paint file that I am going to use, right? Third thing, a notepad file for configurations if we are doing any in the lecture. And last, we will have a WhatsApp group